MMA rants and raves, exciting fighters versus boring fighters. Guys, I've been reading in the news lately, especially since UFC 120 is right around the corner, and it's going to be taking place in London. So there are going to be a lot of British fighters in this card, and as we well know, there aren't many wrestling pedigrees coming out of Britain. Now these guys basically like to stand up and bang. They like to stand up fight, and it's great. If it works for them, if they can be successful with it, great. But recently, there's been some talk coming out of these British camps. I think it was one particular fighter, and the talk is that wrestlers don't engage, they don't finish fights, they basically hold on and try to stall, they like to play it safe, and they even went on to an extreme to say that the athletic commission should change the rules, they should just stand these guys right back up, they shouldn't allow it. And then I'm wondering, why are they saying all this stuff? And then I looked and I'm like, well, of course that makes sense they're saying this, because they lost to wrestlers. Now, here's what I don't understand about this whole claim. It's incredibly goofy, because they're claiming that, hey, you know what? You should finish a fight, you should knock people out. If you just want to stand up, you don't like wrestling, you just want to stand in there, stand up and knock people out, hey, the boxing ring is, I think, either that way or that way somewhere. Boxing is still around. Maybe mixed martial arts is not for you. Go into boxing. That's what boxing is, right? I think. You stand up and you just box. You strike. That's all it is. So, I don't understand what their claim is. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They're basically in the wrong sport. Now, for the ones that basically want to learn wrestling, if you don't learn wrestling, it doesn't mean that you can't be a good mixed martial artist. You can always learn. Now, of course, it's not easy. Of course, there are some fighters that may not want to learn it, but it can be learned. There are some British fighters that do have good takedown defense, so it's not like, they can go out and become wrestlers. If your takedown defense is good, you can also be a successful wrestler. Look how good Mirko Cro Cop has been throughout his career with his sprawls. Even in Michael Bisping's last fight against Dan Miller, he did very well with the takedown defense and forced the fight to stand up. So there are guys out there that want to learn wrestling, takedown defense, and can be successful. So as far as, all this talk, I really don't understand it. And you know what? To their credit, they're not the only ones. I've been watching some of these sports shows, and I'm just really ticked off about what these guys are saying. They're accusing fighters of being boring, stuff like that. And again, not just them, it's the promoters. They're trying to sell a card, and their champion, let's say, happens to be this really good wrestler that basically, is not a good ground and pounder. He gets fights to the ground, he takes his opponents down, and he just hammers out decisions. And the promoter is going to say, how are we going to sell a fight like that? Fans consider it boring. Well, you know what? And you know something? I'm just shocked at these accusations. Are you freaking kidding me? Are these guys clowns? What the heck is their problem? There's no such thing as a boring fighter. It's not the fighter that's boring. What the heck is these people's problems? It's the opponent that's boring. That's my answer to that accusation. It's very simple. You have a fighter trying to get a takedown, and you have the opponent who has absolutely no takedown defense, or weak takedown defense, can't do anything about it. Gets taken down and controlled. All right? Fights in mixed martial arts are short. If they're not championship fights, they're just 3 5-minute rounds, even 5 5-minute rounds. It's not that long of a fight. You can see wrestlers controlling an opponent and win a fight. And it's very effective and get a decision. And that's just the way it happens. Now, the reason it's happening is because it's not the fighter. It's the opponent that's boring. The opponent can't do anything about the takedowns. All right? The opponent doesn't know any takedowns, so he can't get takedowns. He's not a wrestler. And if you want to make it exciting, especially if the fighter who loses complains about it, let the guy beat you up. This way the fans can cheer. I just don't understand the complaints that are being made. The bottom line is like this, all right? To all the promoters and you sports shows that are out there, people that are accusing fighters of being boring because they grapple too much, you basically have to understand one thing. This is not boxing, it's mixed martial arts. And the fighters that are losing to wrestlers have to become better. Mixed martial arts is forcing them to become better fighters, to learn better wrestling, because this is the ultimate sport. It's everything in one. And you have to learn as much as you can of all these different things to become successful. If you can't, then you're not going to be successful in mixed martial arts, and as a result you have these, quote, boring fights. That's what's making it boring. The opponents are just not good enough to get takedowns and to prevent takedowns. That's what it comes down to. And that's the way I see it, guys. I would like to know what you think about this particular topic. Do you think there's such a thing as a boring fighter? Do you think there's such a thing as an exciting fighter? Please leave your comments below the video. Please rate this video and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.